Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another D2D Spotlight. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And today we're chatting with Tawdra Kandle. We're going to get to know her real well over the next 45 minutes-ish. So first up, let's welcome Tawdra. Hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm
I
excited to be
appreciate it. You're super busy. So if you're coming on, it means something else is not getting done.
No, it just means I got up a little earlier this morning.
You got to and knocked a few things out. So you're like me. You wear a lot of different hats. One of those hats is author. We share that in common. One of those hats is organizing conferences. You've organized a few that I've been to, actually. You want to talk about that a little? That's an interesting thing. Like, we don't have people who organize conferences usually.
It's fun. It wasn't something that I necessarily ever said to myself, "Oh, I want to, grow up and be a conference organizer." It just happened that in 2015, the person who organized Indie Book Fest in Orlando decided not to do it anymore, and she let me know first because I had given her a hand for a couple of years. So I reached out to my business partner at the time and said, "Hey, are we crazy enough to do this?" And we decided we were. And so we did that for 5 years. I stepped back after this last year because of a couple different things. One, I became a grandmother. And so
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, she's 15 months old. She's perfect. And she's already working on her first book. Her father is an author too, so it's in her blood. Anyway, so that was something. And then I also was getting more involved with NINC, which is the conference that I was assistant chair last year, and this year I'm full chair and also interim president. So
excellent. Yeah. That's I don't envy that part. Because I know what goes into all of those roles. And I've talked to enough of the past presidents of NINC to know that's not a role I wish to fill. So,
you know what? We have incredible members. Our members are just the best. And I'm not just saying that. I have been a huge NINC fan since I first became a member. And it's an incredible organization. Our members are gracious, they're kind, they're forgiving, and they have to be because, I kind of came into this a little earlier than what I expected, and I've told them that I'm going to stumble, I'm going to make mistakes, so please just have grace. And they happen.
There's no way you're going to stumble and make mistakes.
Yeah. Anyway, but So and Indie Book Fest is now Orlando Reads Books, and Mandy is still doing that. So I encourage everybody to look at that. It's on Facebook. It's and it's going to be happening in the same location this August. So
I liked. I've really enjoyed that conference. Right. It's not on the same scale as NINC, and the authors who come are kind of more my breed, I guess. The indie authors, the folks that I talk to regularly through my podcast and through D2D. They're kind of, a lot of them are just starting out. Some of them are pretty savvy, though. I mean, some of them have been in this business for a while, and they got their marketing on point.
Oh yeah, and it was very cool to work with a range of authors. Some who were had been doing this for a very long time, and others who were just starting out and didn't know, they didn't know a whole lot, but it was very cool to see that light in their eyes, like, oh my gosh, I can actually do this. This is doable. We've had a wide range, and it was a lot of fun. And I think we were one of the first conferences that Draft Digital came to way back in the day.
I think it was before my time with D2D.
Yeah, Dan
I don't know how many we were attending at that point, but
Dan kind of came and
got trapped in a hurricane.
What we're doing, and we said, we don't know. This is our first year too, so here we go. We've been very appreciative, all along. And
you have then because we as D2D attend a ton of conferences worldwide. Dan's always traveling. Mark Lefebvre is now with us. He travels and does stuff. I travel and do stuff. we can see from our perspective a lot of benefit for, you know, the influencers and the industry folk. And as an author, I have personally seen a lot of benefit for authors. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what are some of the benefits and perks of attending these? Because there can be very cost prohibitive sometimes. So they have to have that return on investment, right? So you share a little bit of your insight there?
Sure. I mean, you know, one of the things we wanted to do with Indie Book Fest was have it be something that was worthwhile, not only from a author to reader point of view, but also from just author education, author networking, authors learning what they needed to know. Because we live in an age where there's a lot of information on the internet. You can find out pretty much everything that you want to know there, but there's nothing that can replace that face-to-face conversation and you know, just learning from other authors. It's not always just in workshops. It's not always you know, when you're having a meeting with somebody. It can be sitting in the bar. It can be at karaoke. You know, you just don't know what you're going to learn.
Exactly.
And it's good. It's in elevators. It's in between sessions. So we always wanted to create an environment where authors were getting to know each other and getting to know the industry people too. And then the reader portion is also, you know, letting authors and readers get face time. I don't think anything can replace that. So
you brought up the bars, and our experience has been that when you want to get to know the authors, set up at the bar, and they will parade themselves to you, especially if you're buying them drinks. Little pro tip there for the industry folks listening.
This is true. You know, as somebody who, my first couple conferences that I went to, I just looked at it that I wanted to stay in my room and write and you know, just enjoy the peace and quiet. Authors, not all of us, but a lot of us tend to be a little introverted. So I really, you know, it took some prodding for me to go out, but I've learned, and especially with Nink, I go and I sit at the tiki bar, and it's just nice to be outside. It's nice to be, you know, listening to the music. You get to see other people. You're sitting by the beach. And then, you know, it's kind of becomes musical tables. Have you seen that happen? That, you know, people are going from one table to the other, or you have a whole group set up. It's a very good thing.
And in some instances, like Nink, it's like they're bar hopping. Like, because there's the tiki bar, which is not what it's called, but that's what everyone at Nink knows it as, because it's that outdoor tiki bar. And then the shark tooth and all that. And so everybody's always migrating from one to the other. Like, if one's closing down, you go to the tiki bar. That's the last one open.
Tiki bar is the last one open. And also with noise level, it's a little bit better. The shark tooth can tend to get a little bit loud. Most of my experience with shark tooth is during the karaoke night, which is always a fun. So, but it's fun. And you're right. The tiki bar doesn't shut down, and they have a drink there that's called, if anybody goes to Nink, it's called the Almond Joyous, and it is everything.
Oh yeah. I owe you one of those.
You get it.
Because I like to let people in on the inside scoop on everything. And I had set Tawdra up on a date, and it turned out there was already someone scheduled. And so we picked another date, and it turned out there was already someone scheduled. So I made her reschedule 3 times before this finally landed. So Almond Joyous for you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I don't forget those things either. So
wouldn't have it any other way. So, okay, so that's conferences, and I love the whole conference environment. Actually, it is a chance. I'm an introvert. People don't believe that. People call me a liar all the time, but I am an introvert. I'm what I call a high functioning introvert. But it is, you know, I get locked in these little quiet rooms all the time. And so when I go to these conferences, it is a chance to let your hair down and kind of, you know, just interact with your community, people who understand what you're doing and what you've got going on. Let's talk about you as an author, though, because you write your own books. Now, what genre do you write in? I'm guessing heavy sci-fi, futuristic military.
No, not anything even remotely like that. I edit a little bit. It's even hard for me to edit those books because it's just not my thing. I have extreme respect for anybody who can write that. And actually my son-in-law writes to that genre, and I am just filled with awe for that. No, I am romance, contemporary mostly, new adult, small town, military, sports. I write paranormal romance. I'm switching actually all my paranormal to another pen name, and under another pen name, I write erotic romance. So I currently have my own real name, which is me, Tawdra, and then I have 2 active pen names and 2 that are in the wings.
Yeah,
so.
I think when I first met you, I think I asked you, or I mean, I never would have asked you what your quote real name was, but I think I implied that, you know, you had a great pen name. And
no, this is my name. This is my real
your actual name. Like it's like your parents said, one day she'll be an author, you know?
Well, I always say I got my first name from creative parents, which is
Right.
exactly true. And I got my last name from my husband. So, you know, it just happened that worked out. I've had people argue with me and say, no, that's not, you're not telling me the truth. And I've said, well, I can bring you, the first time I was published, I was 11 years old. And I still had the same first name. My last name was different because I was not married at 11, believe it or not. But I've been married a long time, but not since I was 11. So
Right.
that is my parents compromised on my name. That's how I ended up getting it. So
it's a lovely name. I love it.
I didn't like it so much growing up when, I was an Army brat. And so I was in a lot of new schools, and you would always know when they were about to call on me because they'd be reading, and then they'd read closer and they'd go, what is this thing? That's me.
Careful now. Yeah. So I didn't have exactly that problem, but my first name is James. So that's always what people call me first. And after a time, you know, especially when I got into college, it was, they'd say James Tumlinson, kind of calling the role. And I'd say, well, it's actually Kevin. It's just spelled like James. So what's your writing process like? Like you told me you got up earlier to knock some things out. I'm guessing some of that was your writing.
It was something that I need to get done today. I write a lot and I write fast. I have somewhere north of 90 books in active release right now.
Holy cow, Tawdra.
I know, right?
I thought I was prolific.
Yeah. I started out in YA paranormal because we all did. You know, I started in 2011. If you started in 2011, chances are you started out writing YA paranormal because, you know, it was just the thing to do.
Even I have my YA paranormal books. Even
you really?
Yeah. Okay. I have a trilogy. Yeah.
And so did I. Yeah. And then actually mine was a quartet. I lie. Mine was a quartet. And then after I finished the last book in that quartet, I wrote a contemporary romance, an adult contemporary romance. Right. And it was so much fun that I said, I never want to write YA again. I'm done with YA. And that kind of became, that became something I really enjoyed doing. I joke that I didn't write my first book until after I was 40, and I had a lot of ideas that were percolating all those years. I released pretty slowly the first 3 years. And then in 2014, I went to RWA. And that was in New Orleans. And that was the year that they said, if you're not rapid releasing, you're going to miss the boat. And I took them at their word. By them, I mean, the powers that be. Everybody selling really well. And I started releasing really, really fast. So I think within the next year, I released 12 books, I think. I'm not, don't hold me to that. And then I just kind of kept up between probably 6 and 10 books a year. In 2017, my husband's employment situation changed, and I had to step up. And I had already planned out 6 books for the first 6 months of that year, and I added 12 more.
Wow.
Yeah. So all I was doing the beginning of 2017, it's just a blur to me.
Yeah.
all I was doing was writing, and it was across different series. So I couldn't, like, it was military romance, it was paranormal, it was a mess. It was a mess.
That's, yeah. And, you know, that's a fairly common story, I think. That's similar to my story. You know, it's a sort of a, I think I was the one who was out of work when I just like mass accelerated publishing. But yeah, so many authors have that origin story. Yeah. Somebody lost a job, somebody did this or that, and suddenly you got to write 20 books.
Yeah, and you know, I had been doing okay up until then, but it was just kind of the impetus of, can we do this? My husband is a priest, which is you know, kind of an odd coupling. I always tell people, and it's the truth, that I was an author before he was a priest. So you know, the fact that I write kind of hot and steamy romance, he just had to adapt to it because I was already doing it, and I was already, you know, firmly established in that career before he.
The more I get to know you, Tawdra, the more I love everything about your story.
You didn't know that my husband was a priest?
How have we never discussed this?
I don't know.
You know, I'm an ordained minister.
Really?
A lot of people don't know that.
I didn't know that. In what denomination?
I was born and raised Baptist, but it's a non-denominational ordination. But yeah, and I went to seminary and everything. So
yeah, well, so did
there you go, trivia.
Right, I know. My husband's an Anglican priest, and when I first started, actually, when he first started after seminary, he was a third career priest, or he is a third career priest. He's still doing it. But after he went to seminary, he actually was a hospice chaplain for a long time, and nobody cared what the wife of a hospice chaplain did. You know, I could have been a stripper, and nobody would have cared. You know, it really would have been fine. But when he went into parish ministry, it became a little dicier, and that's when I started doing pen names. And then when he left parish ministry, and now he is a community chaplain, he just does. He does what he does, but he's not paid for it. You know, he's not earning a living. He's not with a specific church. Yeah. We have an oratory. He does. He has a huge garden that he feeds people from, and you know, feeds us. Yeah, it's very cool. It's wonderful. But you know, and now we don't. You know, I don't keep my pen name separate, and we tend to minister to a kind of an older population. Our church service takes place in a senior living facility, and so they started asking me, "When can we read your books? When can we read your books?" I said, "Okay."
Good for them. Oh man!
I donated a bunch to their library there, and they love them. And a couple of them, they will come up to my husband after service, and they'll say, "Father Clint, you're a very lucky man." You're very lucky.
I agree with them. He is a very lucky man.
Yeah, so
that's fantastic.
I remind him of that.
You know what this shows me? It shows me you and I do not talk enough. We do not get deep enough in conversation at these conferences.
We're always talking about like conference stuff or book stuff or promotion stuff. But anyway, so yeah, to get back to your core question, I write a lot. I try to write. I generally, when I'm like deep writing, I'm generally averaging between 3,000 and 8,000 words a day. So.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah, and I'm dictating a little bit more now too, and then that's even more when I'm dictating. You know. Yeah,
dictation I have not been able to embrace. I've tried it half a dozen times over the span of my career. Just my brain. I'm a good talker and I'm a good writer, but when you try to combine the two, it's, you know, I'm a little bit of a moron. So I don't enjoy that process yet. Yeah. But I have to master it because I have to master all things writing.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's dialogue that I can do. Like I can just do dialogue, and then I have to go back and maybe put in the expo, you know.
Oh.
But it's very easy to do dialogue. I find I slow down a little bit more when I have to like put in the filler stuff in between. But you know, it doesn't come out precisely clean. So it does mean that and I have to do it. Like if I dictate for 3 hours in the morning, that means before I go to bed that night, I have to clean that up, because if I wait a day, I won't remember. I'll say,
you'll lose that.
What was I trying to say here? You know?
So that's really interesting. So that means that you're changing my perspective on this, and I may try this. So you're doing scenes. Like you're not trying to dictate, like, because I tend to be a very linear writer, you
Right.
know, and I go back after the fact and I re-swizzle things and move things around, but I tend to try to tell the story from A to Z. So you're talking about dictating like a scene of dialogue and then cleaning that up after the fact.
Right. Yeah.
That's,
That
that's
generally
very
is
clever.
what I try to do. Yeah. And then it's done. At least if you have something down, you have something to work with. And, if I get 3,000 words in a dictation
Yeah.
cycle, raw, they might come down. It might go up and it might go down, but it's there. It's something to work with. And that's
Yeah.
always easier than starting from scratch. And for me, my brain tends to work better if I'm up, doing things like I try to do really fun stuff like, sweeping the floor or folding laundry or emptying the dishwasher,
Yeah.
all the glamorous things. And my brain works better. So I'll just throw on my headphones and dictate while I'm doing it. So
Like Karate Kid, sweep the floor, and then
that's
you're
right.
dictate.
Right?
Yeah.
Wax on, wax off.
You crane kick for the final scene.
Always.
People can't really see my both arms up and my knee because I can't talk about crane kick without actually acting it out. Okay, so that brings us around though, because you had this scenario where your husband's out of work, you got to kind of step up your game, write more books, but it wasn't writing more books in and of itself isn't always going to be enough to make a living. And you've got tips on low budget marketing. So I definitely want to hear that. I know everybody listening wants to hear. But look, before you get to it, everybody watching YouTube, Facebook, and otherwise, make sure you're dropping questions into the comments, because in the last 15 minutes, which is coming up in about 10-ish minutes from now, 15 minutes from now, I guess, we will take all your questions live. Maybe not all, but we're going to try to get to everything we can. So ask what you want. Yes. And you may want to ask some questions about conventions and priests or whatever, but you're probably going to want to ask about marketing. So go, Tawdra. Tell us Tawdra Kandle's marketing secrets.
Well, I've been marketing has been something I've been excited about almost since the beginning of my career. Just because, when we started it out, there was very little for indie people. There was, we were trying to do things the same way that the tribe people were doing. It wasn't working for us. Back in those days, we didn't have aggregators. We didn't have Draft to Digital right away, which is wonderful and great. We didn't have BookBub.
I told you didn't have to kiss up to D2D.
I know, but I did anyway. I just threw that in there. I threw that in there because you said it. We had something called Pixels of Ink. I don't know whether anybody is old enough to remember that or has been around as long as I have enough to remember. Pixels of Ink was the place that if you could get them to feature your book, you saw sales, you saw return. And
they were the book club of their day.
They were, but it was, I will venture to say that it was even harder to get into Pixels of Ink. So, yeah. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that was just my experience. But, so I really, I was very, very fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of people. Mandy Stevens had started the promotional book tours before I even knew her. And so I worked with her for a while with that. And she just had amazing ideas. And when I would say, I don't know what to do about this, we would brainstorm it. And we had other people working for us too, who were just fabulous and gave me great ideas. And, I think that brainstorming and jumping off of other people's ideas is the best way you can do it. You really need an author tribe. You need a group of people who will say, oh yeah, that's a great idea, but what if you did this? What if you did that? So I really think that's the best thing. But I learned very quickly that I had to get my newsletter up and going, and I did that. I really didn't know. I was greener than green when I started. I knew nothing about that. So I'm very self-taught, and when you're self-taught, I think you also learn to kind of tweak the system to work for you. And that's what I did. So, author reader interaction is really important. So I try to be very present in social media. I have a very active core group of readers who I adore and love. And they're the Temptresses. We're on Facebook. I send out a weekly newsletter, which is something I just started doing this year, but it's been a lot of fun. I get a lot more interaction. We've also just launched a new associated network. Mighty Network offers you the opportunity to have kind of a group that's not affiliated with social media. I found that a lot of my readers who were interacting on newsletters were not comfortable with being on Facebook, which I understood, but I really did. The interaction was very one way, or at best two ways, but it was not great between. If you have a newsletter and people are emailing you and you're emailing them, that's just two people. But if you have a network, they can post a picture of their cat, and then another reader can see it and say, "Oh yeah, my cat looks just like that," or "My cat does this," and they post a picture, and then the interaction becomes lateral, or as well as just up and down. So that's been a lot of fun. I am just my marketing style is nothing ventured, nothing gained. I will basically try anything once and see. I'll grab a group of authors and say, let's all release a book that features a meet cute. We did that, I think, in 2016. I think that was the year of meet cute, and we called it the meet cute books. And each there were 12 authors, and each month one of us released a book that featured a meet cute. And
that's interesting.
We cross promoted each other. Yeah, we each had a banner, so it was fun. There's a lot of different things to do, and just because you've done something once doesn't mean it's going to work forever, and it also doesn't mean it won't work again. So I'm starting to see now things that we started way back in 2012, 2013 are starting to work again. So.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Like little things that some of us kind of abandoned, like, that's dead. No one's doing, that thing anymore. And then suddenly it's like, I've discovered a new way to reach this untapped market.
Yeah, well, it's true. It's true. I mean, I think blog tours might even actually.
You think? I've been curious about that, because they seem like they fizzled out there for a while.
They did fizzle out for a while. They did. I won't say they fizzled out. I will say that there began to be a glut of authors who all were kind of beating down the doors of bloggers. I cannot say enough wonderful things about book bloggers. I don't think any of us in the indie community would be where we are if it weren't for book bloggers. I love them, and they have been fabulous with me. And some of our original bloggers from promotional book tours are still some of my top fans, and still, reading all of my books and reviewing, and no matter what I write, they will read and review. So I love them. I think that it might take a different form. I don't know exactly what, but Instagram is huge. Bookstagrammers, they may be the new book bloggers.
Really?
Love Instagram.
I'm so terrible at Instagram.
Really? See,
I really got to get my game together. Really, I like Instagram though. One of the things I like about Instagram is if I share something there, I can immediately share it to both Facebook and Twitter, which is very handy. But and it also forces me to think in terms of an image because we're writers. I tend to write a lot in a post. So if I have to be a little more concise and put something in an image, it forces me to be more mindful of my marketing. So,
and you just have to make sure it sticks to brand. Part of my branding is I almost always, not always, but most of the time, I post at the end of the day whatever beer I'm drinking. So I have a beer of the day hashtag, and I try to mix it up. I go to our local.
You and Mark Lefebvre need to just do an evening of beers, a virtual beer tour.
I know. Well, I did right after the quarantine started. One of the things I did was host a virtual booze tour. I think there were 12 of us, and we each did lives. We did it as an event, and we did lives in our house, and mixed up drinks, and then we went from different rooms or different parts of our house. It was, it was because we couldn't go anywhere else, so we may as well.
What are you going to do? Yeah.
Right. So it was fun. The readers enjoyed it. We each did readings of our books or our works in progress or whatever. So.
Yeah. Well, okay. We have come to the point in the program where we're going to open things up for people to ask us anything. If you're listening, if you're watching, and you haven't popped a question in, no matter where you are, pop it in. I should see it. Well, unless you're watching an entirely other live stream, then I might not see it. But ask whatever you like. And if you don't ask stuff, it means I got to ask more stuff. So pop in there.
Yeah.
So, and I just popped up your URL for your website. So I definitely want people to go check you out there. And also for those of you watching, make sure you hit like and subscribe on whatever platform you're on. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe to our channel, or like this video, subscribe to our channel. Same with Facebook. So you'll get alerted to more of these, because we got a ton of them. We're doing a bunch of these over the summer. So that was me buying time so that I could get to the question that I saw pop through here. Here we go. Let's pop this one up, even though it may not fully be a question. So just
read it. Hopefully you can.
I'm going to read it out to you.
Good.
Okay. Are you on your phone? Are you doing this on your phone?
No, I'm on my laptop, but the print is like
it's tiny.
It's not even a centimeter, I don't think. And I
all right. So. That's fine. That's fine. I got us covered. So he says, I've just shifted wide from KU, needed some inputs about marketing on different platforms. Which platform should we give more weightage? I write art instructions, nonfiction books.
Ooh, nonfiction is tough.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I think aside from Amazon, probably Apple Books would be my suggestion, because they have you can go there and you can see the top 100, or I think it's 100 in nonfiction too, and Apple Books does some good promo, and I know you all do it whenever they offer promo, you guys offer it too. That's one of the places.
Yeah, we're fine tuning our game on promotions too. We hired this like stunning hottie to run the promotion side of business, and I'm allowed to say that legally because she's my wife.
I was going to say you're married. That's
awesome. She's going to be helping out on that side of things. So we got a question from Alexis, who is a darling and was on the show just a couple of days ago. So Alexis asks, of the reoccurring, you don't have to lean in.
Okay.
I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take care of you.
Okay. Are you actually reading the question though? I don't know. You could be making this up.
I am making it up.
Okay.
Those things you see on screen aren't even words.
Okay.
Okay. So of the reoccurring conventions you have gone to, which one do you think has the most to offer for indie or new authors?
Okay. From a learning perspective, of course, I'm going to say NINC. There's just, and I would say that even if I were not the NINC president.
I don't know. I think you're contractually obligated.
I probably am contractually obligated. But I really would. I've been saying this since before then, from a learning point of view. Now I will say that last year I went to Skye Warren's romance author mastermind, and it just blew me away. I mean, but that is specifically romance, and it's by invitation only, and it is intense. It is from like 8 a.m. until 10 p.m, and you are just wrung out, but you have learned so much. NINC is great for learning. We have high-level workshops, very high-level workshops, and also networking. I would say NINC, we like to play as hard as we work. I would say.
True. I'll say this about NINC. This is one of my favorite things about NINC. You can count on what I'll say. I'm just going to make up a number. Okay. 95%, it may be even higher than that. 98% of the people you encounter at NINC, from the authors to the industry folks, are A-game players. Like they are killing it. They're making a great living from this stuff. Because NINC isn't an inexpensive conference to attend. Especially if you have to come in from out of state, but it is to me it's one of the industry leaders. Great place to coordinate and network with folks. So you did all that.
From a beginner's, if you're just starting out, it can be a little overwhelming, I would think. So if you were just starting out, I would try something like Orlando Reads Books. I would try any of the smaller conferences that do feature industry guests, because you are going to learn more there. So
one of the things I like about Orlando Reads Books is it is in part a reader-facing conference as well. So you guys do a whole reader-centric day, and the authors get a chance to have a table and put their books up, maybe do some selling, do some signing. You don't see that at every conference, so that's actually a really cool thing.
No, that's true. And and also most states have their own, like Florida has FWA, and I know most, so those would probably be, if I were just starting out, that's where I would want to go. I did one last year right after Ning called Moonlight Magnolias in Atlanta, Georgia.
I'm supposed to go to that, but I think it's getting canceled.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I'm not slated to be there this year, but I would. It's another great conference, and I saw a lot of. It was definitely, there were a lot of people there who are in the midst of writing books and publishing, so there was some good entry level information there.
Yeah. One last parting bit about conferences. There's Tawdra mentioned there's usually one statewide, but in every major metropolitan area I know has at least one author conference. So you don't have to travel across the country to go to one of these. Sure. I recommend starting local, finding, even if it's a smaller one, 20 to 50 people, just go to experience the whole thing and get comfortable with it. And then maybe you can save up and go to a bigger one later. So.
Yeah. And, a lot of times even your local library in Orlando, our Orange County Library, the events person is actually an author. It's a friend of mine. And she does, I think every month there's an author and they're speaking, and she organizes a conference as well that takes place in the library, and it's very reasonable. So, check your libraries once they're open again.
Once they're open again. Yeah. Yeah. I may have to start pulling together some kind of like virtual library tour thing that I can pitch to libraries. Look, bring authors in, even if it's over Zoom or something. Let's keep people interested in libraries.
Absolutely.
All right, we got another question. Read that one for me, Tawdra. I'm kidding. Okay, so what program do you use for dictation? Dragon and MP3 player? I've played around with Dragon in the past. I've lately tried one called Otter.ai. I use that one, by the way. Okay. I want to master dictation to boost word count, but I haven't found a good system yet. So what do you use, Tawdra?
Okay, I have used Dragon Anywhere on my iPhone. I just put in, and I have I had them ready. I have my little headphones here. And really, I think a good set of headphones is the key. Because I tried it. I walk a lot. I used to be a runner before my knees gave out, and I walk a lot. And so I would put in my trusty Apple headphones, and it wasn't picking up what it needed to. I mean, it was just gibberish. I couldn't even figure out what I was trying to say. So a good set of headphones with a good microphone is great. Dragon Anywhere, I think, is like $15 a month if it's a subscription. However, having said that, there is a free one called Speechy, and I think it might just be Apple phones, but it's called Speechy, and it's free, and it will also send you can also send it. It will transcribe it, and you can have it sent to your as a file, and you can also listen to yourself again. It's both recording and transcribing.
Yeah, so those are great.
Which is the thing, because if you can't figure out what it was that, like if it transcribes something, you need to go back and listen to what you said. You can do that.
Right.
So, yeah.
Did you? And I may have missed it. Did you mention the like built-in tools at all, or because Apple actually has some great dictation tools built into some of their stuff. If you don't have a budget, you can start there.
Yeah, you can. The other thing you can do, and actually, my friend Lisa Huey clued me into this. If you put Google on any phone, you can use the speech function there. The only thing you have to watch is that it will turn off pretty quickly if you're not continuing. Like if you take a pause and think about what you're going to say, it might turn off. So you have to kind of keep your eye on it.
Interesting.
There's nothing more frustrating than dictating a paragraph, and looking back and realizing.
Google Voice does a automated transcription. You could always call yourself. And
you're really talking to yourself there, right?
Exactly. And then you get exactly.
There's a lot of options out there. There really are. If you haven't, my suggestion is that if you haven't actually tried dictation, don't pay for anything until you try some of these things and see if it works for you.
Yeah, you can at least try out the process, if not the specific software. We'll just reveal the secret. There's better software, and that does better things and makes this a little easier. But if you just want to try it out, really, I'd start with the built-in stuff. If you have an iPhone or a Mac or something, I'm sure Android and Windows machines are the same way, have something. Try out the stuff you already have just to see if you like the rhythm of it.
Right.
So. This is a pretty epic question. I don't know if we have time to answer this. What's your favorite beer?
You know what? I lost you there for a moment.
Oh, you lost me at the exact wrong time. What's your favorite beer?
Okay. What's my favorite beer?
Yeah.
What's my favorite beer? Right. Okay. That's really hard. It's like asking what's my favorite kid or what's my favorite book. Purple Haze by Abrita. That's a favorite. Shiner. I like that.
I love Shiner. That's a Texas beer, so I'm on board.
Beer. Yeah. My girlfriend, author Olivia Harden, turned me on to Shiner because I edit her books and she writes about them, and so I was like, I got to try that. So yeah, my favorite thing is to go to Publix does this, and also Fresh Market. You can go and make your own 6-pack, and that's my favorite thing to do because I get bored. Kona, I've been drinking. Publix just had a BOGO on Kona, so I've been drinking Kona beer lately. And I hate to say it, but during the summer, my go-to is Corona with a lime. So not popular now, but
no problem. That's no problem. We don't blame the beer manufacturer for our current circumstances.
We do not. We do not. We do
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. Okay. I frankly, sadly, I know I'm going to take flack for this. I'm not really a beer guy. So I don't have, I like Shiner and, I like, things, I like stouts and things like that. I like something that's got a little bit of texture to it, some rich stuff,
It depends on who I'm with and what I'm doing. My youngest daughter, and my kids are all old, they're all of age to drink, but my youngest daughter, she likes Angry Orchard. So when she comes home, Angry Orchard together.
Yeah, so. I've tried that. That's a pretty decent. It's interesting. That's an interesting beer.
It is. And I am a later in life beer person. I didn't like beer until I was over 40. So I became an author.
So part of me wants to say, well, maybe I should give it a better shot than I have in the past, and I'll become a beer lover. But I'm half afraid I'll become a beer lover. So, this question isn't so much for you. It's more of a D2D question. And he's asking if they can apply for promos for Apple via D2D. Sort of. What we do is we get a promo. Apple reaches out to us and says, we're going to have a promotion. And they give us the guidelines. And then we will do our best to try to find books that fit that. And one of the ways we do that is we'll create, these don't just exist out there. We create them at the time of the promotion and offer authors a chance to opt in. And that's part of what my wife's actually helping with. So she and Mark Lefebvre and Dan Wood have been pulling together some ways. And this is going to evolve over time so that we can get a little better about how we offer authors promotions. So take heart. If you're a D2D author, you had a real good chance of being alerted to some of these. We don't alert you publicly. So make sure you don't have to distribute through us to have an account. So just make sure you have at least an account so that you can know when things are coming up. But you would have to distribute through us to participate. So neener.
One of my best months ever was with an Apple promotion through D2D. And that was a while back, but it was huge.
I don't think I'm revealing any secrets here when I say Apple really likes doing business with the authors through us, because we take care of the customer support side, so they'll reach out to us for all kinds of interesting things. Sometimes they'll ask if we'll speak on their behalf about something because they're frequently not allowed to speak on a topic.
They're really shy, right?
Yeah. But they'll pretty often say, hey, we're going to be running this kind of promotion and we may have one coming up. I think I don't want people rushing support about it or anything. I don't know details yet. So this is the part where Alexis would say, "Shut up, Kevin." So forget I said anything. I don't know anything. I don't know. I'm going to put this question up because we must have used some acronyms, and I don't know which acronyms. I know we've said RWA, which is Romance Writers of America, right? I was going to say association for a second there. I blanked. So did we use any other acronyms that you are aware of?
NINC, if anybody doesn't know, NINC is actually Novelist Inc.
Yeah.
Novelist Inc. And you can go to the website is actually, if you Google NINC, it'll come up. But it's an author organization. You have to qualify for membership.
Yeah.
And if you want to attend the conference in 2020, you must have applied for membership by May 31st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, because there is a process to become a member, and you can't.
I put in to be a member, and there was like some glitch between my email addresses or something, and it never got resolved, and I think I never went back. I need to, and because I'm always there, I forget.
Right.
So I need to try again.
There are definitely benefits to being a member. Yeah. So you should talk to the president about that. Maybe she can give you a hand.
If you can put me in touch, I'd appreciate it. Because she and I don't talk enough is the problem.
You buy her,
let's see. Yeah, this is a comment about the beer. I'm not beer either. I like apple ale and Disaronno. Am I saying that right? I don't know the term.
I can't see it.
But I applaud you, sir, for your good taste. I'm sure it's very good taste. So, okay. And Alexis did, in fact, say, "Shut up, Kevin." So, shutting up. I'm no longer going to say that. So, but we're at time anyway. So I appreciate it. We're kind of running over just a little. So that's my fault. But thanks, Tawdra, for hanging out with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
For everyone else, thank you for being a part of the show as well. So make sure that you are subscribing to us on Facebook and YouTube. Go to, I'm told this link actually works, so no more correcting it. YouTube.com/draft2digital. And you can subscribe, like this video, because that helps with the algorithms, which are like, that's like indie author speak for magic. And if you subscribe, you'll be alerted whenever we get, you'll get your little feed, and you can see when some of these new ones pop up. Same thing with Facebook.com/draft2digital. And that will allow you to be alerted on Facebook every time we have one of these. And you can pop in and do comments, ask questions. It's a lot of fun. And be sure you bookmark d2dlive.com, because you'll get to see a really cool countdown timer, and you'll gain access to all the past live stuff that we've done. But the next upcoming stuff will be counted down right there. So that is it. Thank you again, Tawdra, for joining us. Thank you, loyal watcher. I mean, there's like 20 or 30 of you in there still right now. So thank you for hanging out with us. And we'll see you all at the next D2D Spotlight coming up tomorrow at noon Central. See you there.
Bye-bye.